Hi everyone. In this video, we will discuss how to create a Linux virtual machine.
If you want to go through the complete course, you can access it through our website. Link of website is given in the description. Now let's come back to the topic.
To create a Linux virtual machine, directly I will come to my Azure portal and come to search and type virtual machine here. Under services, we can see virtual machine services reflecting here. Just go ahead and click on it and click on create and then select Azure virtual machine. In our previous video, we have discussed how to create a Windows virtual machine. The process is almost the same, but there are few differences which we will try to cover up. This is especially related to authentication type. First of all, I'm supposed to select my subscription. So I have free trial subscription available as of now. So I will select the free trial here as a subscription. Then come to resource group. I will create a new resource group here and the name of this resource group is MyRJ. Go ahead and click on OK and then mention your virtual machine name. Let's say my virtual machine name is VM1 and I want to deploy this virtual machine in Central India region. Availability option and a security type, let it be as default and then scroll down. After this, we should focus on this image part because through image only we are going to decide which operating system we want to deploy inside our virtual machine. So let me click on this drop down button and here you can see a lot of options are available. These are primarily divided into Windows operating system and the Linux operating system. Related to Linux, there are multiple variations are available and in this video I am going to select Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8.7 which I am going to deploy inside my virtual machine. This particular image only support x64 as a VM architecture, so we will go with the same. Then scroll down and come to the size. From this drop down, the size I am going to select for this virtual machine is ds1_v2 and under this size I am getting one virtual CPU and 3.5 GB of memory. Just click on it. After I select my size, you can focus on administrator account and there are basically two options under authentication type. First one is SSH public key and second one is password. If I click on password, it will ask me to set my username and as well as the password. Same we had discussed when we were creating our Windows based virtual machine. Once my virtual machine is created, while authentication, it will ask me for the username and password. Whichever username and password I mention here, through that I can execute the authentication. But in case of Linux, as an authentication type, SSH public key is also available here. And when I select SSH public key, in that case, I can create my keys here and with the help of keys, authentication will take place. Now exactly what is the meaning of this sentence? Let's try to understand with the help of diagram. Let's assume this is my Central India region of Microsoft Azure and inside this region, I am creating a Linux virtual machine. So let's say this is a Linux virtual machine here. Name of this virtual machine is VM1 and once this virtual machine is created, I want to use SSH key for the authentication purpose. So in this case, what we do, we create a key pair. So let's say this is a key pair here and name of this key pair is key pair 1. We can mention any name for our key pair. For the simplification, I have mentioned key pair 1. So as name suggests, it is basically a pair of keys where two keys are going to be created. So the first key is our public key. So let's say this is a public key and second key is a private key here. Other than this, let's assume this is my laptop here and this laptop is connected through the internet. So let's say this is internet and I'm connected to internet through my laptop and all of the Azure data centers are also accessible through internet. Let's assume with this virtual machine, I have also assigned a public IP address. So public IP address is basically assigned with a network interface. So this is a network interface of my virtual machine and with this network interface, let's say this is our public IP address which is associated and when I'm connecting this virtual machine from my laptop via internet, so basically I'm connecting to this public IP address only. Once I'm connected, I have to authenticate with my virtual machine and once authentication is successful, then only I can work inside my virtual machine here. And when I deploy my virtual machine and as soon as I click on create VM, this particular private key is going to be downloaded in my laptop. So this is my private key. As soon as I click on create VM, this key pair is going to be created. Inside this key pair, two keys are going to be created here. One is public key and second is private key. Private key will be downloaded in my laptop and public key will remain here inside my virtual machine. So once this virtual machine is created and I try to initiate a connection with my virtual machine, this private key is going to authenticate with this public key, and whenever this authentication is successful, then only we can log into this virtual machine and start working. Let's move back to Azure portal now, and here as a authentication type I have selected SSH public key. First of all, I'm supposed to mention my username. By default, username is Azure user. If we want, we can modify this also. Let's say I'm mentioning Sanjay KA, and then come to SSH public key source. When I click on this drop down, there are three options available here. First option is generate new key pair. Second option is use existing key stored in Azure. And third option is use existing public key. In this video, we are going to focus on this first option, generate new key pair. So go ahead and select this one. After that, it is asking me about the name of key pair. So as per my diagram, I'm mentioning here key pair 1. And finally, when I click on create virtual machine, it will create a key pair named as key pair 1. And as a part of this key pair, two keys are going to be created. One is public key and second one is the private key. After giving my key pair name, just go ahead and scroll down. Now it is asking me about inbound port rule. In this video, I am creating a Linux virtual machine, and once this Linux virtual machine is created, I will try to connect this virtual machine from my laptop, and for this connection, I will use SSH port, which is port number 22. And because of this reason, I will open port number 22, which is our SSH port for this particular public IP address. And same we are going to configure inside inbound port rule. Under select inbound ports, I will click on this drop down. You can see already by default SSH port number 22 is selected. Let it be as it is. Then go ahead and click on next. It will take me to the disk configuration, and for this virtual machine, let's say we are accepting all default settings here under disk tab as well as under networking tab. So here you can see that one virtual network is going to be created. The name of this virtual network is VM1-VNet, and if I click on create new, these are the configuration of this virtual network. The CIDR range which is associated with this virtual network is 10.0.0.0/16. Inside this virtual network, one subnet is created. Name of the subnet is default, and the CIDR range associated with this default subnet is 10.0.0.0/24. I'm going to deploy my virtual machine in this default subnet only, which is part of this virtual network. So go ahead and click on OK. Along with this, one public IP address is also going to be assigned with my virtual machine, and through this public IP address only, I will access this virtual machine from my laptop using port number 22. So finally, go ahead and click on review plus create, and once validation is passed, go ahead and click on create. As soon as I click on create VM, you can see one message has appeared here. Generate new key pair. An SSH key pair contains both a public key and a private key. Azure doesn't store the private key. After the SSH key resource is created, you won't be able to download the private key again. It means with the creation of this virtual machine, one key pair is also going to be created. Name of this key pair is key pair 1, and with this key pair, two keys are going to be created here. One is public key and second one is a private key. Public key will remain inside the virtual machine only, but private key we can download. You can see private download key option is given here. As soon as I click on download private key and create resource option, it will download private key inside my laptop. Once this SSH key resource is created, after that we cannot download this private key again. So I will go ahead and click on download private key and create resource, and now you can see key pair 1.pem is downloaded inside my laptop under download folder. Also here in notification, you can see the deployment of virtual machine is in progress. After some time, my virtual machine has successfully created here. Just go ahead and click on go to resource. This is my VM1, and with this VM1, one public IP address is also assigned. I will copy this public IP address and then paste it here. So this is my public IP address which is associated with this network interface, and this network interface is associated with my virtual machine VM1. Now public key is created. Even I have downloaded my private key in my laptop, and now this is a time to initiate a connection with my virtual machine. In case of Linux, I have to initiate a SSH connection from my laptop to my virtual machine, and for that purpose I need a SSH based application which has to be downloaded on my laptop. So I will go ahead and download Putty in my laptop and install it. Let me draw it here as well. So suppose this is Putty here, which is installed in my laptop, and through this application only I will initiate SSH connection with my virtual machine. So first of all, let's focus on how to download and install Putty in my laptop. After that, we will discuss about how we initiate the connection through Putty application and how this authentication take place. Let's come back to our internet browser, open a new tab and just type Putty download. Hit enter and then click on this first link. Here we have an option called download Putty. Click on it, and under MSI Windows installer, I will select this first option, 64-bit x64. Click on this link, and as soon as I click on this link, MSI Windows installer has downloaded inside my laptop. Just double click on it, then click on next, install, and the installation of Putty has initiated. And once it is done, go ahead and click on finish. Other than Putty, I need Puttygen application also, which is already installed in my laptop. With the help of this Puttygen application, we will convert our private key. So what is the exact meaning of this sentence? Let's understand it first, then we will do it practically. If I come to download folder of my laptop, you can see one file is reflecting here, and the name of this file is keypair1.pem. So basically this is my private key which I had downloaded while creating my virtual machine. First of all, I have to convert this private key from PEM to PPK format, and for that purpose I will use Puttygen application. To launch Puttygen, I will type here Puttygen and then click on this application. Once we have launched our application, you can see there is an option called conversions. Click on it, then click on import file, then click on downloads and select keypair1.pem here, then click on open, and now my key has successfully imported here. After this, I'm supposed to click on save private key. Click on yes, and when I save my private key, it is asking me to provide an alternate name. Let's say I'm using the same name here, that is keypair1, but the extension which I'm going to choose, that is .ppk. So the complete name of this file will be keypair1.ppk. So go ahead and click on save, and again if I click on my download folder, you can see keypair1.ppk is reflecting here, and same private key we are going to use for the authentication. If I come back to my diagram, so this is my private key which I had downloaded, and the name of this private key was keypair1.pem. Now with the help of Puttygen application, I have converted this particular private key into .ppk format. So I have another key here, and the name of this key is keypair1.ppk. Once we convert our private key into this ppk format, we can launch our Putty application and initiate SSH connection. So when we initiate SSH connection from our laptop, we will use this private key with this Putty application, and this connection actually going to target on this public IP, and that is the reason we had opened port number 22 with this public IP address. And through this port number only, we will establish a connection to our virtual machine using this public IP address. Let's do it practically now. First of all, I will launch Putty application. Let's come to search and type Putty, then click on Putty application. As we discussed, we are initiating a SSH connection with the public IP address of virtual machine. I'll come back to my virtual machine and copy this public IP address and then paste this public IP address here. Under port number 22 is mentioned, then click on SSH, expand auth, then click on credentials. Under credentials, we have this option private key file for authentication. So go ahead and click on browse, then click on download. Under download, we have this file keypair1.ppk. Select this one and then click on open, and then click on open again. Click on accept, and now we have initiated a SSH connection with our virtual machine. For the authentication, it is asking me about my username. So my username is Sanjay KA. Then hit enter. As soon as I hit enter, my private key will authenticate with the public key, which is stored inside the virtual machine. And when this authentication is successful, I'll be able to log into my virtual machine. Let's say if I want to switch to my root account, so I can use command sudo space su, hit enter. Now you can see I have switched to my root account, and with the help of root account, I have logged into my VM1. After that, I'm using one command. Let's say I want to check out the hostname. Type hostname here, then hit enter, and it is showing me VM1 as an output. It means I have successfully connected to my virtual machine and I can run my commands. In this video, we discussed how can we use SSH public key for the authentication with virtual machine. I hope this concept is clear. See you in next video. Thank you.